Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. I am your host, Alton West. Today I will have guests on from the Troup County School System and also a guest on from LaGrange High. We'll be talking about the upcoming Black History Play. So you want to make sure that you stay tuned for those interviews in just a moment.
This is Bobby McCollum with the City of LaGrange Garage, and I'm here to give you another winter car care tip for your vehicle. Now, one thing you do need to check through the winter is your antifreeze. Your antifreeze keeps your vehicle from freezing during the winter. It's supposed to have a proper 50-50 mix between antifreeze and water. Very easy way to check it. One thing you need to look at is your coolant level to see how much antifreeze you have in the vehicle. Now, it's going to have a maximum or minimum level on your reservoir, and it's going to tell you how much you need to put in it. Another thing you need to check is the actual freezing point of your antifreeze. And you can do that with a simple tester you can get at any parts store. All you do is take the cap off of your radiator reservoir. On this model vehicle we have a reservoir. Stick it down in and squeeze up your antifreeze into the tester. There will be a needle showing where your antifreeze test level is, and on this vehicle it's good to -45 degrees. Now, you need to have it up to about 0 degrees. You don't want it to be any higher than 0. If it's anything above 0, you need to flush out and refill your radiator with the proper level and type of antifreeze, and you can check your owner's manual for that. This is just another simple car care tip from the City of LaGrange. These are just general care tips for your vehicle. Please refer to your owner's manual for any vehicle specifications.
Welcome to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Today my guest is from the Troup County School System. I have the coordinator of Office of Student Assignment, Ms. Janitra Ransom. Welcome to the show, Janitra.
Thank you for having me, Alton.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you again and talk about an upcoming event that the school and the kids need to know about. So we're talking about pre-registration. So first of all, let's go ahead and let the viewing audience know, what are those dates?
It's pre-registration for pre-K and kindergarten, and those dates will happen March 4th through the 8th.
Oh, okay. All right. So very good. Now, I know in the past the parents and the student need to bring certain documentation. What do they need to bring in order to register?
For kindergarten, we're asking that students bring a copy of their certified birth certificate, the child's social security card. We also need 2 health documents, the first being the Georgia Immunization Form 3231 and the Georgia Ear, Eye, and Dental Form 3300. In addition to those documents that relate to the child, parents also need to bring their picture identification and a proof of residency.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. And of course, I know that, you know, you have those documentations they can pick up from the Troup County Health Department, correct?
They can pick up a copy of the child's immunization record and the ear, eye, and dental from the Troup County Health Department or their family's pediatrician.
Oh, okay. Very good. Now, it's important. We gave the dates, but the parents are probably like, well, where do I go to register? Help them with that.
We have 3 sites available for parents to participate in registration. The first being the Office of Student Assignment at the Administrative Services Center for Troup County Schools. That's located at 100 North Davis Road, Building C. We also have 2 additional sites in our schools, one being at Hogansville Elementary, located in Hogansville, Georgia, and that location will have students to come register parents to register between the hours of 8 and 2. At West Point Elementary in West Point, Georgia, we have the site is available for parents to register Monday through Friday from 8 to 4, and on Thursday they have an extended night until 5:30 at West Point. And we also have an extended night at the Administrative Services Center on Thursday, March 7th until 5:30.
Okay, well, very good. Now, I know that pre-K is sometimes a little bit different. What about pre-K for us, Janitra?
Pre-K is a different program than kindergarten. We ask that those parents who are applying for their child to go into the pre-K program, that they bring a copy of the child's certified birth certificate and social security card. They will not be required to bring the child's immunization or ear, eye, and dental. Sometimes children are not old enough to receive their all of their immunizations. So we're asking that those parents wait until they are selected for the pre-K program, and in May at an orientation they will ask to receive those documents at that time. So if they're coming to the pre-registration March 4th through the 8th, they won't have to bring those health documents just yet for pre-K students.
Okay, very good. Now I know that you just told us a few moments ago there's certain documentation that the parents need to bring, but are there any other documents that they can bring, that they need to bring with them when it comes to register?
We just want to make sure that parents are aware that with their proof of residence, it needs to be something that we can verify as a proof of residence for their home. We will not accept a car insurance payment or their voter registration card. It needs to be their most recent rent receipt or utility bill, their home telephone bill, their current lease agreement, or mortgage statement. So something that relates back to their home so that we can verify that they are Troup County residents.
Okay, all right. And I know that is so important with the school system growing with the number of kids that are impacting it. A moment ago you mentioned about the ages of 4 and 5 years old. What are the cutoff dates for students?
To attend our pre-K program, students must be 4 years of age by September 1st, 2013. In order to attend our kindergarten program, students must be 5 years of age on or before September 1st of 2013.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, very good. Now, if a child is currently enrolled in a pre-K, do they still need to register for kindergarten?
Yes, Alton. That's an important thing that we want to emphasize, that if you are enrolled in a pre-K program, whether it's with Troup County Schools or in another pre-K program within Troup County, you need to register your child for kindergarten. Okay. That's an important piece that we want to make sure that parents understand. Please come out, even if your child is currently enrolled in pre-K, to register for kindergarten. Okay,
well, very good. Now, what about if the child is enrolled in kindergarten, in pre-K, do they need to?
If they're enrolled in kindergarten, they will not need to register when they're promoted to first grade. Okay. Those children will what we call roll up to the next grade. So okay. This is only for students who will attend next year's pre-K or kindergarten class.
Okay, all right, well, very good. Now, let's say what happens if a student or parent doesn't come out on those dates that you all have set aside, March the 4th through the 8th? Are there makeup times?
For our kindergarten, registration will continue for students who will attend kindergarten, but for students who would like to attend our pre-K program, we ask that parents do participate in the March 4th through the 8th week. Students who are not able to get an application completed during that time will go on a waiting list. So it's not a first come, first serve, but we do take that time to collect all of the applications, and then there's a drawing for students because there's a select number of seats for our pre-K program. So we ask that every parent who would like for their child to attend a pre-K program with Troup County Schools, please make every effort to attend our March 4th through the 8th registration period. Okay, and just in case we missed those locations, could you go over those locations? Absolutely. We have 3 registration sites available for your convenience. Administrative Services Center of Troup County Schools at 100 North Davis Road, West Point Elementary in West Point, and Hogansville Elementary in Hogansville. Okay, well, very good. One last question as we get ready to finish up there. If a parent has any additional questions, because I know that comes up from time to time, and I mean I've covered everything here. If they have additional questions about pre-K or kindergarten or about registration, is there contact information that you can give them a number? Yes, we're always happy to speak with parents. At the Office of Student Assignment at Troup County Schools, they can contact us at 706-812-7900, or they may visit us on the web at www.troup.org. Okay, well, very good. I know this is an exciting time of the school year for you all and for the kids, especially those that perhaps have never been in the school system before, for them to make sure that they get registered and everything. And I didn't use the term, but we want to use the term no shots, no school. Is that correct? No shots, no school is a Troup County Schools Board of Education policy, and we ask that parents comply with that policy as with all of our policies. But that will apply for students who will attend school, whether they're attending for the first time, they're transferring in from another state. Students have to have their immunization records on file. So we ask that they comply with that policy, visit the health department or their pediatrician to receive those immunizations and the appropriate document. Okay, well, very good. You know, a lot of great information. You gave the website address there, and by all means they can always call out to the school system there to get additional information. Well, very good. And again, those dates, as we close up, if you will tell us those dates one more time. The dates are rapidly approaching. It's March 4th through the 8th of 2013, and we're looking forward to seeing a lot of smiling faces, and hopefully we can assist parents to get their children registered for next year. So we ask that they come out and visit us during that time.
Okay, well, very good. Shanisha, you always do a wonderful job there. I know that you're looking forward to meeting and greeting all these parents and these new students coming into the school system. So we want to thank you very much for coming on and sharing this information with us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back for more City Week in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Wesley Woodyard of the Denver Broncos and graduate of the Troup County School Systems and of the University of Kentucky. And I've got an important fact for all the parents out there. Did you know that 1 in 3 students won't graduate high school? Please encourage your child to beat the odds, stay in school, get your diploma. It's the key that will unlock the door to your successful future and so much more. The sky's the limit.
Hi, my name is Bobby McClellan. I'm here at the City of LaGrange garage to talk to you about a few winter care tips for your vehicle. The first thing I'd like to talk about is, of course, your battery. Your battery is very important to your vehicle because if you don't keep up the maintenance on it, it will leave you stranded during the winter because winter times are very cold and hard on the batteries. The first thing you may want to check is your battery corrosion on your terminals. When you take a look at it, you have a positive and negative terminal, and the battery corrosion starts to build up and looks kind of like crust on the battery itself. Now, it's very simple and easy to clean these off. You can go to any general parts store and pick up a can of spray cleaner. They're usually less than $5 and look something similar to this here. So you just spray it on the battery itself, on the 2 terminals, let it sit for 2 to 3 minutes, and just rinse it off with water. What it will do when it starts to actually react with it was, it'll be a yellow color, and it'll turn red as it reacts with the battery acid and corrosion on the terminals. All you have to do then is let it sit for a couple minutes and rinse it off. After that, you may want to get a little project pack, which is usually less than $2, something similar to this here, and you can put this on the battery terminal. It's a gel that actually helps prevent and keep the batteries from corroding. Another thing you may want to check is how old your battery is. On most batteries, there is some sort of stamp date or date code on the battery. On this one here, if you look at it, it says B2, which stands for February of 2012. So this battery is not quite a year old. Most battery life is, say, 3 to 5 years is just general battery life for it, and you need to keep an eye on that, make sure you don't get stranded because your battery is too old. That is just one simple tip that you can do for your car during the winter from the City of LaGrange. These are just general care tips for your vehicle. Please refer to your owner's manual for any vehicle specifications.
Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have guests on from LaGrange High School. I have the assistant principal, Mr. Kenneth Redding, and I also have a student, Mr. Jalen Smith. Welcome both of you gentlemen to the show.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to sit down with you both. Again, Mr. Redding, I had the opportunity to sit down with you on last year, and we talked about the play that you all presented there, and I'm very happy to sit down with you all again. I'm almost excited. But before we get started, I want to introduce to the viewing audience Mr. Jalen Smith. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Jalen, if you don't mind.
Well, the main thing about me is I love singing and acting and all that, but I've been performing for many years, since I was about 7, and I was recently Mr. LHS at LaGrange High School.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Okay.
So, you know, I love that kind of stuff, and I'm happy to be here.
Okay.
He also does the announcements in the morning.
Oh, does? Okay. All right. Well, that's right. Well, toot your own horn. That's exactly right. That's what we're supposed to do. Well, Mr. Redding, like I said, it's a pleasure to sit down with you, and I'm going to tell you, to see the plays that you put on every year, and I understand from you as we were talking before we came on, this is your 15th year?
Right, 15th annual program.
Talk about that a little bit for me, Mr. Redding.
Well, it's been, I arrived at LaGrange High School in 1998, 99. So our first program was in 99, and at that time we didn't charge anything. It was just for the student body. So the next year we thought, well, we had some expenses, so let's charge a little bit. So we did that, and then we had a little money left over, so we said, well, let's use some of that money for a scholarship. And so that we began to make that the driving force behind it. But mostly it's been a celebration, you know, celebration of African American history. And then our secondary goal is that we use the proceeds that come from that to give money to deserving students. And to date, we've given over $35,000.
Oh man, that's exciting.
We'd like to give them more, but you know.
Right, it only goes so far, right?
Right. Yes,
absolutely. Well, and now I talk a little bit about the play this year itself, the theme of it, and we'll get into talking about Jalen in just a second. Some more.
Okay. Well, this year we're using the title "Freedom Under Fire."
Okay.
That's the title. I read a book this summer by a guy named Douglas Blackman. The book was called "Slavery by Another Name." It highlights an era between 1860 and 1920 when the civil liberties of African Americans, particularly the males, was in jeopardy. And we find out that they could be sold to work in on a farm or a coal mine or something like that for petty crimes or no crimes at all. And one of the major crimes was vagrancy, just not having a job. You're subject to be put on the side of the road working, and the fines were stiffer than they needed to be, and the sentences were longer than they need to be. You may work 2 years where you only needed to work for 30 days. And about a little bit more than a third of them died in the camps because the conditions were so bad. So this particular story focuses on one family and the trials and tribulations that they go through when the youngest member, which the character Jalen will play, he's sold off into a coal mine in Alabama. And just the things that they go through, how the mother handles it, the brother that's left there. He has a love interest also. He wants to get married. He has a dream of being a musician and maybe going to Chicago to start his own area, and that's what the story centers around. So it's a lot of emotion involved. It's going to really stretch him because he has to go from, being happy to being sick to losing people, and we don't want to talk about the end, but it kind of gets better at the end.
Say, come out and see it, right?
Right.
Absolutely, absolutely. Jalen, talk now. I heard your name mentioned, I guess the first time was last year when I came to the play. Tell us a little bit, because this is your second year with a leading role, right?
Yes.
Talk about that, and what does that say for, how does that make you feel?
Well, I feel like the Black History program that we do has weight on its shoulders, that it is responsible for teaching our heritage to our community. So to have the lead role in that, you really have a lot of that responsibility. And it's a joy. It is work, but it is a great joy, because I feel like if I can portray that to people, then I've done something for my community, and I've done something for the program to help it continue in the years to come.
Very good. Talk about the lead role there a little bit.
Oh man, this year I'm having it's a lot of fun. Anytime I'm stretched as a character, it's always good to grow, but it's always a lot of fun too, because you learn more about yourself in doing a character. So the extremes of being overjoyed and being very sad to the point of tears, going from those extremities is challenging, but it's rewarding.
Very good. Now, so that the viewing audience understand, Mr. Rainey, do students have to audition to be in
Yes, they have to audition, and we start that probably in November. Generally, I write the script for the last 5 or 6 years, so sometimes the auditions are pushed off because I'm still trying to come up with at least two acts, so they can get started,
right.
And once we get that done, they come up and they audition for the parts and also the singing parts as well. So he's very good because we can allow that character to sing, and he has a unique singing voice as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Real powerful.
I agree. Like I say, when I heard him last year, I'm like, oh my goodness, to be able to act and sing, and if you play, you're a triple threat, they say, right?
Right.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you now, because when we come out to the shows, and I've come to a number of them, and everything just kind of seems to flow with such consistency, Mr. Reddy. What are some of the challenges, I guess? Because we always realize there's some challenges behind the scenes.
Well, myself, I struggle with that, so I've gotten better at it, and getting it to flow and that kind of thing. I learn a lot from, people that are there, the way they do the chorus concert. I learn from that. I learn from Mr. Riggs, who does the plays, and also I learn from, the people that work with me, Miss Green and Miss Tracy Peterson. They are co-directors, and the students as well. You know, they give me, they say, well, I don't think I'd feel like this in this scene. So, and they show me different things. So it's not just me. And to get it to flow, sometimes I say, you know, we're just blessed. Because you know, from where we were last week, and because you know, I'm a full-time employee, you know, and Mr. Green is a full-time employee, so we have to do this mostly on our own time. Okay. So we don't really have time to really get it to gel like we want to. But it's a blessing that when it does, that it does. So sometimes I say, phew, I'm just glad, because you know, just 2 days ago I was thinking that, you know, it's going to be a train wreck, but you know.
Well, absolutely.
It just falls into place.
Like what comes together.
Right.
Absolutely. Now let me ask you that, Jalen, I understand you sing and you act and everything. Your peers around you, what kind of support do you get from them in the play itself?
It's actually very good support. There are times when you do a play that you're just emotionally drained, and my fellow cast members, people like Kadarius Griggs, Janae Freeman, and those people, and also my friends that don't act and things like that, they always support me and help me keep my mind together, because trying to do school and then, you know, plays, it's hard sometimes, but it's definitely worth it. So they support me a lot.
She is involved in a lot.
Absolutely, I can tell. Now, and you always do a great job of pulling together your band and everything. And I know that your kids, they play, they act, and everything. Talk about pulling the community people in to help out with this. How is that?
Well, you know, I started with Jimmy Lewis, who's helped me out for about 12 years now, and he's a piano player, and he comes in and he lends a lot. You know, he helps with sound. He brings his own equipment. New Community Church, when I was a part of that church, Joe Hamilton and Donnie Dukes and those guys come in and play. I have 2 sons that are musicians as well. My son Emery, he's been the principal drummer for the last 4 years, and my son Kenneth, he will not be able to make it this time because he tours with the play, and he won't be here this time, but he's a big help as well, you know. And so pulling together a band, and a lot of times I try not to get them every year because it's a lot for them. It's a lot of songs they have to learn. Sure. So I try to get people every other year. Robin Treadwell is another one that works in the school system. Louis Barnett, he writes horn music for me and that kind of thing. So it's a lot of people that lend their time and their gifts and their talents to the project. So.
Well, very good. And you know, I got so caught up and got so excited about it. We ain't even told them when it's going to be taking place. So definitely let's talk about when and where.
Okay, Friday the 22nd. February at 7 o'clock.
Okay.
It's first show. Saturday the 23rd, February 23rd, 2013 is the second show. It's at 7 o'clock. And Sunday show is a Sunday matinee, and it's at 4 o'clock. At
4 o'clock. Okay. All right. Well, very good. And of course, ticket prices?
$7 in advance. And you can pick them up at LaGrange High School. Just come to LaGrange High School, and you can ask for me, and we'll get that situated. Or any cast member has tickets, and it's $7 in advance and $10 at the door.
At the door. Okay, very good. And you said this earlier in our opening comments there, Mr. Redding, that you all had given about $35,000 in scholarship.
Yes.
So it is entertaining, but it's also giving back to the community.
Yes,
Talk
sir.
about that.
Well, yes, we the first goal is that it's a celebration, you know, and we have expenses. So after we pay our expenses, we do give back to the students that have given to the program. And we have several scholarship recipients that come back to participate. They choreograph and they do things like that. And we also have a Facebook page as well as a Twitter account. So if they want to visit us at LaGrange High School, Black History on Facebook, they can as well.
Okay, well, very good. 15 years of doing this. And I know, like I said, I've been to a number of the plays in the past. People coming out to the play, what is it that you want them to take away from it, Mr. Redding?
From this particular show or all of them?
From this particular show.
From this particular show is that during that particular time period from 1860, 1880 to 1920, that there was a lot of, there were a lot of tribulations that African Americans went through. And that just to take from that through all of that as a people, you know, we've persevered, and to come to where we are now, to where we have an African American in the White House is really a step. But during that particular time period, it was a trial. You know, it was after slavery and before President Roosevelt's administration. There was a lot of tribulations that happened during that time. And just take from that through that we were able to persevere, and from that we'll know that any obstacles in the future that we'll be able to overcome.
Well, very good. Jay, let me ask you that same question. As a young person with the lead character, what do you hope young people coming out to this play, what do you hope that they take away from it?
I hope that when they come and see us give our best on the stage, that it'll inspire them to know that there's more to life than what's right here in LaGrange. I feel like when we do the show, we make it big and we make the history real. So I hope that young people, people my age and older and younger, I hope they take from it that this is real. This is our history, and we should embrace it, you know, not to be ashamed of it or anything like that. Embrace it and use it as strength to move forward in the future.
Very good. You got a great leading role man there, I think, Mr. Redding.
Yeah, he's
awesome. Awesome guy. You know, and don't want to leave out any other characters. We just want to, again, reiterate the dates and the times and the ticket cost for it, Mr. Redding.
Okay. February 22nd through 24th. The 22nd and 23rd shows at 7 o'clock. Okay. Sunday, the 24th is at 4. Tickets are $7 in advance and $10 at the door.
Okay.
You can pick them up at LaGrange High School.
Okay. Well, very good. Well, I know I'm going to go ahead and get my tickets early this time this year. Right. So I'll make sure I get there because I do want to make sure I see it again. Yes, but I want to thank both of you all, Mr. Redding. We appreciate all the hard work that you do in presenting these shows, and it helps us to understand, you know, the histories of our people as well.
Sir.
And Jalen, I'm looking forward to seeing you on stage pretty soon.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you, Jennifer, for coming out and sharing this information this morning.
Sir.
All right.
No problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, stay tuned. We'll be back for more City Week in just a moment.
This is Bobby McClellan with the City of LaGrange Garage, and I'm here to talk to you about another winter car care tip for your vehicle. One very important thing you need to check is all your vehicle's fluids. There are a few fluids you need to check, which is your engine oil, your transmission fluid, your power steering fluid, your brake fluid, and your washer fluid. These are all very simple things to check, and it's very important to keep them where you need to be in your vehicle. First thing I want to talk to you about is your power steering fluid, which on my vehicle is right here. On your power steering fluid reservoir, there's going to be a maximum and a minimum level, and some of them have a dipstick. It's very important to keep it within the proper levels or you'll have a problem steering. Another thing you need to check is your engine brake fluid, which is here. It also has a maximum and minimum level, usually a see-through glass, very easy to check. You also need to check your oil and your transmission fluid, which both have a dipstick, which on my vehicle are here and here. Easy to check. The engine oil you check with the vehicle off and it cool. The transmission fluid you need to check with the vehicle running and the engine warm. That way the levels are correct. Another thing you need to look for is your windshield washer fluid, which is on my vehicle here. And the good thing you need to put in it would be windshield washer fluid with de-icer. The de-icer helps during winter because it helps to actually clean the windshield off if it gets frosted over during the winter. And also, of course, you need to check your windshield wipers, which I have one here. Windshield wipers are very easy to check. You just need to make sure they do not streak on your windshield and check to make sure the rubber is clean and clear of any debris. This is just another simple car care tip from the City of LaGrange. These are just general care tips for your vehicle. Please refer to your owner's manual for any vehicle specifications.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining for City Week this week. My guests have been from the Troup County School System, Ms. Shanitra Ransom, as she told you about the upcoming registration for kids going back to school. So make sure that you take into account those dates and locations to make sure that you get your students registered. Also, we had on Mr. Kenneth Redding from LaGrange High School, assistant principal, along with Mr. Jalen Smith, and they talked about the upcoming Freedom Under Fire Black History play that will be taking place. So make sure you come out and support this very worthwhile cause in our community. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you've enjoyed those interviews, and as always, I want to invite you back for more of City Week.